Well, hello and welcome to another edition of the Stogie Review video review. I am Walt White, and here filling in for Jerry on this Monday with another cigar review. And just like any other time that I fill in for Jerry O'Brien or do something other than on a Friday, I'm doing basically a short Ashes format, which essentially means that it's not going to include the big long write-up that typically goes with these reviews, or goes along with my reviews on StogieReview.com. If you're watching it on YouTube or Blip TV, nothing is really going to seem any different, maybe a little bit shorter. The cigar of the week, or the cigar that I'm doing this week, is one that Jerry did a little while back, and it's become pretty popular ever since that review. A few months back, I ran into my local CAO rep. His name's Paul Spence. He was doing, I don't know whether he was getting ready to do an event or he was just doing a sales call over at my local tobacconist, Kensington Tobacconist. And we got to talking a little bit, and I was asking about drapers and things like that after a review that Jerry had done on the CAO MX3. And we got to talking a little bit, and he asked me what I thought of the cigar, and I hadn't had one yet. So he said that he would make sure to send me one or two in the mail, you know, in the coming weeks. Well, I don't know whether he forgot about it or what, but all of a sudden I just got a package the other day. It's been a couple of months since I talked to Paul back at, you know, the CAO rep that one time. I bumped into him at the famous Cigar Expo, and actually Cigar International's Cigar Fest, at which point he reminded me that he was going to send me some cigars. So I got him just the other day. I got two of these CAO MX3s, and these cigars aren't nationally available. These are part of the Escaparate collection, and I don't remember whether it's 11, 12, or 13 blends that are produced. There's something a little bit different about each one of them, and there isn't enough tobacco to make the cigars standard production. So what happens is they're offered to, or they're made available for different shops to take on as private labels. In this case, the MX3 belongs to Drapers. Drapers has the exclusive, and they are the only retailer that you can purchase them from. Now, Drapers is W. Curtis Drapers is a shop down in Washington, D.C., and Jerry just happens to work a few blocks from the cigar shop, and he was the one that turned everyone on to these through a review that he did a while back. So I'm going to give it a shot. I've had one before. Actually, Jerry was kind enough to give me one when we met up for Cigars International Cigar Fest 2009, and I enjoyed it. So I'm really looking forward to smoking this one. So with that said, obviously we have a band on it that says Drapers, distinguishing the retailer where these are available. And this is an all Maduro cigar, similar to the MX2, where you've got I think it's a Maduro component in the binder and wrapper. Here you've got all Maduro components. So looking over the color, it's pretty consistent. There's almost looks like, I guess it's best described as a toothy appearance. It's got little dimples all over the cigar that have a lighter color than the base color of the wrapper. Almost like, I don't know, like you were if you rubbed your hand over something, you'd knock the high points off. They would turn lighter than the base color. If you've ever sanded anything, sanded paint for example, you'll see the high points in the paint turn lighter than the paint below. You've got that sort of thing going on. It looks overall pretty neat. It's nice and firm. I'm not feeling any soft spots and no abnormally hard spots, so it should smoke pretty well. If I had to make a guess on whether it was going to be either loose or tight, it feels pretty packed, so my guess would be, if anything, it's going to be a little stiff. So let's go ahead, get the cigar opened up and lit on fire and go from there. And actually the pre-light draw is pretty free. There's just a little bit of resistance to it, but overall it's right in line with what I prefer. and it's got a very distinct sort of chocolate-like flavor to it, which is interesting. The price point on these, I believe, is about $11. And at one point in time, if you bought a 5-pack of these, you got a hat as well. I'm not sure whether that's still going on at Draper's or how that works. From what I understand, Draper's does take phone orders, so if you are interested in trying these, I can provide contact information at the end of the review, and you can give them a call for either more information or to place an order, whichever you want. Alright, cigar's lit, no problem so far. Burning evenly to start. So I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be back. We'll take a look at the first third of my CAO MX3 from W. Curtis Drapers in Washington, D.C. And we'll go from there. So sit tight. Alright, well, I'm back for the first third of my CAO MX3. And as you can see, the burn line's a little funky on it. It's not too far out of line. I did touch it up just a little bit on one side. Actually, the side that you see the little bit of a point sticking out, that's the side that I touched up a little bit. The ash is pretty light in color. It's fairly strong. I guess it was about 1 inch long, and I had to forcibly knock it off the end of the cigar. The smoke volume is great. I'm getting just a very thick, dense mouthfuls of smoke. There's a little bit of resistance to the draw, so I'm not overheating the cigar, and at the same time it doesn't feel like I'm sucking air through it. Just a very pleasant volume of smoke and just draw to it overall. The body is medium. I know a lot of people associate Maduro cigars with something that is very full-bodied, very strong. The misconception seems to be, you know, that the cigar is dark, therefore I don't know, it has like a menacing appearance to it, and a lot of people think, oh, yeah, it's darker, it looks more menacing, it must be stronger overall. But actually, this is medium-bodied, very, very flavorful, but medium in body. It's not over the top. It's not something that's going to overwhelm you. Actually, this is something you could probably smoke, I don't know, later on in the morning with a cup of coffee. It's not an overwhelming cigar in terms of body. You're not going to get that overwhelming nicotine kick that you get from some cigars. It's very smooth, easy on the palate, very creamy. As far as the flavors go, obviously it really tastes like a Maduro cigar. But the more refined flavors, you get a little bit of a coffee flavor out of it. I get a very heavy chocolate sort of flavor out of it, especially in the aroma. When I actually got these cigars, they were in both cigars were in a plastic bag. I opened the bag, I stuck my nose in there to get the aroma off the cigar, and I swore I smelled chocolate. So I called my wife over. I told her, you know, close your eyes and smell what's in this bag. Tell me what you smell. And her response was, it just smells like tobacco, nothing special. You know, okay, maybe I'm crazy, but I smell chocolate. She said, no, maybe, but I don't smell it. But me, on the other hand, I did smell it, and it's probably because, you know, smelling cigars and smoking cigars all the time. But at any rate, I'm getting a nice chocolate flavor out of the cigar, a little bit of a coffee flavor, very rich and creamy, very smooth. Just all in all, it's a very enjoyable cigar. I'm liking it quite a bit. So that about does it for the first third. I'm gonna go grab a little bit of water, wet my palate a bit, and take a little bit of a break. I'll be back. We'll take a look at the second third of my CAO MX3, and we'll go from there. Alright, well, it's about time to take a look at the second third of my CAO MX3 from the Escaparate collection. And just like before, I've got a bit of an uneven burn going on. I just touched it up once more, and as you can see, I've got more ash on one side than the other where I touched it up. It's almost as if maybe the Ligero shifted more towards one side than the other. I'm not totally surprised that it's not burning properly, or not so much properly, but in line with your typical cigar, mainly because Maduro tobacco generally doesn't burn as well as some of the other tobaccos. Longer fermentation time is typically a thicker leaf, and as a result it burns a little slower. When you start getting so much Maduro tobacco in a cigar, it can do some unexpected things. For instance, if you look at the Camacho Triple Maduro, sometimes they have a tendency to burn kind of funky because of all the Maduro tobacco in there. And this is more or less the same way. I'm getting a funky burn issue, but it really doesn't seem to be impeding on the flavors too much. It's still medium body. It hasn't changed up much from there. It's still very creamy, easy on the palate, very smooth, especially if you retrohale. If you force the smoke from the cigar back and out in your nasal passages, it's not aggressive, it doesn't make your eyes water, it doesn't leave any lingering ill aromas. It's very smooth, easy, and just very aromatic and very flavorful. I'm still getting a heavy chocolatey-like flavor, and I'm really enjoying that. It's probably my favorite aspect of the cigar thus far. I'm getting a little bit of a coffee flavor, the slightest little bit of black pepper, and that about rounds out the flavor profile of the cigar. It's just very rich, very complex, easygoing, easy to smoke. They're a little pricey. The Robusto is about 11 bucks. I went back and I watched Jerry's video just to make sure that there wasn't any additional information I could give you on the cigar. I was almost positive that we didn't get any additional information because it's a proprietary blend, so we didn't get the makeup of the cigar. But I wanted to make sure, so I went back, I took a quick look at the video, and sure enough, being a proprietary blend, we didn't get any detailed information on the makeup of the cigar other than it was all Maduro. So, and the Robusto that Jerry smoked was about 11 bucks. From what I understand, there's two sizes available, a Robusto and a Torpedo, which is what I have. And Robusto is a little bit smaller, generally a little less expensive, so if I had to guess, maybe 13 bucks for the Torpedo, but again, I'm just guessing. So all in all, you know, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm going to continue to enjoy it as I turn the camera off and take another quick break. I'll come back one more time, we'll take a look at the final third, I'll give you my overall impressions, and I'll let you go on your way, so sit tight. Alright, well, it's about time to wrap up my cigar. I'm beginning to run a little short on time, and I need to get this video encoded and uploaded so that I can publish it tomorrow on stogierreview.com. And so let's jump right into it. The body of the cigar is medium. It doesn't get overwhelming. It stays, it's kind of laid back in that sense. It's really not heavy, aggressive on the palate. It's got a nice creamy texture to it. Finish is nice and smooth. Again, you know, when you retrohale the smoke or pull it back and push it through the sinuses, it's not aggressive in the sense that it makes your eyes water or anything like that. It's got a very, I don't know, laid back, aromatic quality to it. I guess that's the best way to put it. In terms of flavor, you know, if you like Maduros, it's probably right up your alley. It's just got that very thick, heavy sort of Maduro quality to it. It's probably the best way to put it. The finer points in the flavor are a little bit of coffee, primarily just a rich chocolatey sort of flavor. The little bit of black pepper that I was getting before seems to touch and go. It seems sparse at this point. Every now and again it's just sort of wafts into the background, just enough to grab your attention, and then it quickly fades. And the black pepper is not at all irritating to the back of the throat or anything like that. It's just a little nuance that's kind of nice every now and again. The burning characteristics are okay. As you can see, it's still a little wavy. It's not quite as bad as it was before. It hasn't required a touch-up in some time. Before I probably corrected the burn 2 or 3 times, but ever since I took the bands off, I haven't had any problem with it getting too far out of line. The smoke volume is great, getting thick, dense mouthfuls of smoke, very flavorful. There's a little bit of a resistance to the draw, so I don't feel like I'm pulling too much air through the cigar. It stays fairly cool. The resting smoke is very aromatic as well. It does kind of linger in the room a little bit, but again, it's nice and aromatic, not offensive. As I mentioned, the price is a little high, or not so much high. It's out of my comfort zone. I generally spend between $4 and $7 or $4 and $6 and some change for what I would consider a day-to-day cigar, something I would pick up and smoke any day of the week. This runs, well, the Robusto runs 11. I'm not quite sure what these run. I'm guessing probably around 13. But I think that the price is fair. It's a very good cigar. They're limited quantities. You're only going to get them at Draper's in DC. And for that, they command a higher price. And you know, I don't think that price is out of line. I think it's a fair price to ask for a very rich and complex cigar. It's a safe assumption that this is going to make my top 10 cigar list of 2009 when we do when Jerry Bryan and I make up those lists in December. And those lists incorporate all of the cigars that each one of us has reviewed for the year. So anything I've reviewed is applicable to go on this list, and this cigar is probably going to make that list. So, needless to say, I really enjoyed the cigar if it's going to make my list. So until next week, happy smoking.